Tuesday, May 5th, 2020. It's about 8:30 at night, and I've decided to do a little cooking. I have my gas stove, as you've seen if you've watched my other cooking episodes. I have some parboiled rice, some water, and I had a beef sausage stick. So I cooked the rice with the sausage stick chopped up using a clean pair of scissors in little tiny bite-sized pieces. Put that in. That's cooking now. My only stirring implement really is my ubiquitous knife, and I keep the rice stirred and stir the meat in. Hopefully the meat will soften as well as the rice. I'm not adding any salt because although the rice kind of needs a little salt and a little of that, it's going to get a lot of that from that sausage. That type of sausage tends to have a pretty fair amount of salt. And the butter that I'm using, I'm not sure. I'm not bothering really to look because my eyeglasses aren't very good, especially in the evening. And sorry about the film quality. Not very good lighting available. But the butter should have a little salt in there. It usually does. So I'm going to put some butter in there, a pretty good chunk. And that should add some fat and just a little bit of salt flavor to the rice. And that should make a pretty filling and comforting food for me in the evening. Well, there's not much going on in Chandler. It's been pretty quiet. Almost no sirens. Very little police activity. It's been amazingly peaceful lately. I had a visit, as you saw if you have seen my recent episodes, an interview with Dave. Dave's a cool guy. Dave's a really interesting fellow. I met him visiting the senior center a while ago this summer, and actually last summer, and he has this amazing life where he was a radio man for the military. And he actually met the guy that Hello Vietnam was written about. Although he doesn't talk about that too much. He's married to a nice Filipino lady that he talks about on a regular basis. And I'm really happy for him. Very hot. It was 101 degrees today. I posted a screenshot of the temperature at about 2 o'clock. Maybe something like that. And so I've been staying in the shade as much as possible, and occasionally even dousing myself with cool water. At one point, I took some of the melted ice water in my cooler chest, my little styrofoam cooler chest, and because it had been contaminated by some little floaties and stuff, I really wasn't wanting to try and drink it. So I soaked a piece of cloth in the water, wrung it out so it wasn't so drippy, and that kept me cool for a little while. I put that on my head, just kind of draped it over my head and shoulders. And oh boy, let's see here. Ooh, it's pretty hot. There we go. Hopefully that will soften up nicely. That's a pretty big hunk of food. I might put a little mayonnaise in it later. I know there's folks that don't like mayonnaise, but I happen to like mayonnaise. So, yeah, it's a thing. I have figured out, as again is mentioned in another video, that ice is pretty handy for drinking. But part of the problem with this cooler chest is that it doesn't seal very well all the time, and there are a lot of little gnat-like bugs and occasionally some ants that climb up the side and they get in the water and they drown. And that makes it a problem. So one of the things that I did was I got one of these styrofoam cups, and I had a block of ice. There's three kinds of ice you can get. There's ice that goes in these cups, and you can fill it full of the ice and water or soda. And on one occasion, I got just the water, and I would drink the water out and then leave the ice and let it melt and drink more cold water. I'm trying to stay away from sugar. But I bought a block of ice, which starts out pretty big. It's maybe 6 inches by 6 inches by almost 12 inches, maybe 10. And sure enough, it shrank in size enough that I could get it to sit in the cup, but it would stick out about this far. And I propped it up in the cooler, and as I went along, I would pour it into a cup. Like that. There we go. And that provided me with some nice cold water. I'll put that back in there. At the same time that it helps to keep my mayonnaise and butter, milk if I get it, that kind of thing, nice and cold. So there's a couple of tips, and God bless you, everyone, during this crazy time that we're going through. May God grant all of us a peaceful night. Thank you very much. This is Darren Marchand with American Nomad News.